This is a Tracking the Tropics update with the certified most accurate weather team at First Coast News.
Tropical Storm Sara has moved on shore across Honduras, continuing to move off towards the west over Belize as we go ahead into the weekend, and then eventually across the Yucatan Peninsula here in Mexico, still as a tropical storm. But as it moves over land, it is going to continue to weaken out due to friction. You have some rather high mountains out here across Honduras into Central America, and basically just kind of squeezing this storm system out like a sponge. So it is bringing a lot of rainfall for our friends out here across these countries where this is impacting right now. Now, here's the deal, though. As we look ahead, this still could move off towards the west. It still could reemerge as we go ahead into next week across the Gulf of Mexico. But there's a lot of factors that really are going to hinder any further development in the Gulf, despite the fact we have warm sea surface temperatures out there. We are going to be looking at a front kind of dipping on through. There's still going to be potentially some impacts across Florida, though, in the extended forecast, primarily as we head into Wednesday now of next week. Still trying to fine-tune the timing. It all depends on how quickly this traverses the mountains of central Mexico, of the Yucatan Peninsula in Central America here, including Honduras and Belize. So let's talk about this as it moves off towards the west. And current satellite imagery showing you that low-level center just skirting the coastline. You can see how that's kind of just getting disrupted over land here. Now, water's just offshore, and look at all the convection just flaring up in the northern periphery of this. A lot of that convection is just very indicative that the sea surface temperatures are still into the high 80s. There's a lot of fuel for this. So despite the fact it's already on land, that low-level center is just kind of skirting the coast, there still is some organization with it because of those warm sea surface temperatures. But expect that to kind of get cut off from that fuel source as this drifts off towards the west. Not to mention, there is still some dry air across the Gulf of Mexico at this time, which is also going to be hindering it as it pushes further towards the north. But for our friends here in Honduras and Belize, it's a lot of rain. I mean, for millimeters out here, we're looking at 300-400 millimeters in total, upwards of 5, maybe 6 inches in some spots. So this is definitely going to be a huge rainmaker for coastal areas. Not so much a storm surge threat, nor a damaging wind threat, but definitely a lot of rainfall. And then you can see that forecast track continues to pull off towards the north and west. Our spaghetti model showing that extended outlook shows that hard right turn and then eventually moving in towards Florida by next week. But the spaghetti models don't show you the whole story. Of course, we have that low-level center, which is going to be, what the models are kind of picking up on. But that front's going to come on through, and that's really going to disrupt this. So right now, it's rounding that high-pressure ridge over that is going to be dominating the weather forecast across the Florida Peninsula over the weekend. The reason why sunny skies across a good portion of the southeast, very autumnal weather. But then look at this front, a very potent front that's going to be pulling in as we go ahead into the early part of next week. And that's actually going to be picking up our storm and dragging it across the state of Florida by Wednesday. And by Thursday, some true chillier air, maybe even some snow. Actually, you can see right in the top middle of the screen there across the Appalachians, there's actually going to be looking at snowfall likely as this storm system kind of pulls in that cold air behind it. Not to mention, the jet stream's going to be dipping on down. This is 500 millibar upper level winds. That is going to provide a lot of shear. So I would be more concerned with, increasing in shear. You have tropical moisture coming in, cold air coming behind that. So by Wednesday, I think Florida, based on the extended forecast I'm seeing right now, Florida actually could be looking at some severe weather. Something we're going to continue to watch out for, but it could be things like severe thunderstorms, maybe a tornado threat, and less of a hurricane or a tropical threat here. Kind of in the late season, so you're definitely going to have to deal with a lot of that shear and that jet stream kind of pushing on through. And even see here, look at this by Thursday, our ensemble models more or less picking up on the front, but you don't see those circles on top of each other. That would indicate, high confidence of a deepening low pressure area or anything like that. Sea surface temperatures still on the warm side. That's why we still have that fuel out there in the Western Caribbean. And, for all intents and purposes, sea surface temperatures are still warm even in the Gulf, but this area still has a lot to overcome, including that friction across Central America. And then we're going to look at that shear coming in across the Gulf. If we see any impacts on the first coast, we're recording this, of course, in Jacksonville, it wouldn't be until about mid to late week, but probably not going to be a full-on tropical system. And I want to note this as well. We getting storms in November is rare. We've only had 4 landfalling hurricanes on record in the United States in the month of November. And last one was 1985. No, that wasn't. Last one was in 2022. That was Nicole. The latest was in 1985 out in the Florida Panhandle. And that was a Cat 2 at landfall. So Hurricane Kate, by the way, you can see it right there on the top of the screen. So it's not impossible, but it's very rare. And it doesn't surprise me that we're going to see a lot of shear kind of disrupting this. But this is Sara. Next storm would be called Tony if we get around to it. But the fact of the matter is we are well above average, not only in named storm systems, but also hurricanes and major hurricanes, that being Cat 3 or higher. So it has already been an active season. Sea surface temperatures are exceptionally high, which is also fueling up these storms. And yet again here in mid-November, we have another named storm we are continuing to watch. So continue to track Sara, at least for now. I do not answer the question on the bottom of the screen. Do not think it will become a hurricane. But definitely some big impacts for our friends here across Honduras, Belize, into the Yucatan Peninsula, and eventually could bring some severe weather to the Florida Peninsula if it does couple up with this cold front. It kind of brings a line of storms with it. So plenty to watch. Still got time to watch if you're out here in the southeastern United States. But you know what? You're staying weather informed. You've watched this whole long video, so I truly appreciate it. And thanks for checking out First Coast News Plus. Make sure you have our application so you can get the latest and greatest information, as well as our Hurricane Central. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. Thanks for stopping by.